price of silver has doubled in 2 years and looks like it is poised to double again. Apollo Silver, developing 2 major silver projects in California and Mexico, has seen its share price double in just the last year. Will Apollo Silver double in price again? Clearly, a lot of major institutional investors think it will. Mega precious metals investor Eric Sprott just ponied up $12.5 million, bringing his holdings up to 9.6% of the outstanding stock. As for silver, it hovers today above $70 an ounce, far higher than anyone but a few predicted. But don't take my word for it. Here's Apollo co-founder and chairman Andrew Bowering to shed some light on the company's future. Last time we talked was back in November, and we were talking about the Cinco de Mayo property in Mexico, and there was still some question as to, how is that going to actually get done? And can you update us on that situation?
I can. So mid-December, we announced an agreement with the local ejido. That's the local community that's in charge or has the surface access rights to the ground over which the Cinco de Mayo deposit sits. We reached an agreement to provide compensation to the community over a 30-year extendable for another 15 years. So over a long period of time to provide for our exploration, development, and mining phases over time of Cinco de Mayo. And as part of that, we will make predictable annual payments to the community that total about $50 million US over that period of time. We'll agree to give them commitments to local participation in the hiring, subject to their abilities, preference for local suppliers for food and fuel and accommodation and things like that. And that they would get to be involved in the process for environmental protection, water stewardship, all those things. We reached an agreement with them, which is kind of an historic agreement because nobody's been able to do that since exploration first started at Cinco de Mayo. And so we announced that that was the proposal, that a group in the community had agreed to it, but we needed to have a vote of the entire community. And so look, right now we have teams of people going door to door, introducing our proposal to the community and suggesting that probably mid-February, we're going to ask to have a vote on it might even be a little earlier than that, but I'd rather not put a date out there just yet. But we're going to ask the community to vote on this proposal. And so what I can tell you is that progress so far is going very well. It looks to us that a very high majority of the people we talk to are pro-development, pro-the mine, pro-Apollo's involvement.
Okay, so then when do you think the exploration can get underway on Cinco de Mayo?
I think we're going to get underway in 2026. And so I think that we could be underway mid-2026.
Okay. So at this point, is it safe to say that the risk of the property being encumbered by community relations is behind us?
Until we get a vote, nothing's behind us.
Okay. When is the vote?
Within 40 days.
Okay, great. Now, recently you guys also announced that you had a significant investment from the venerable Eric Sprott, whose name is on everything that's silver and gold these days. And tell me about how that came about.
Well, I was talking with Connor, and then he put me in touch with Eric again, and it was like, hey, Eric wants to increase his ownership in the company. He had been buying some in the market. Would you guys take a financing from us to get Eric to 10%? I said, let me think about that. I value Eric as a shareholder. He's participated in 2 rounds already. The street loves Eric as a shareholder, so let me think about it. And I went and talked to a couple of the other major shareholders. And of course, Jupiter Asset Management is and they're one of the larger silver funds globally. They're our largest shareholder. And so, had to talk to them, and they said, well, if Eric's going to do that, then we probably want to go, equal parts with him. And so what it looked like was, hey, we're going to get Eric to go to 9.6 now because Jupiter comes in, it cuts Eric back a little bit, but Jupiter comes in to be 12.6 or so, and Eric's at 9.5, and combined, they're over 20% of the company. They're 2 incredibly supportive shareholders. They're extremely value add. And yeah, you got money in the treasury, but you're making commitments of 50+ million US to local communities. So you better make sure you got a lot of money in the treasury to support what you're promising to deliver. Plus, you got to do the exploration. So the reality is, Eric's coming in for a bigger piece. So are the guys at Jupiter. And we added on an insider piece just so that we don't dilute ourselves down. Like, I'm going to put another $1.25 million in as well. So here we go. The company will have $60+ million in its treasury. It'll have probably by the end of July, 90 million, because there's some warrants that are in the money and going to expire. So there's no financing risk on this company now. We'll be able to deliver on all of the exploration commitments we will have to make. We'll be able to commit to all of the community efforts that we're going to need to make. And so there's pretty well, looking forward, very few things that the market can say, well, there's risk here, there's risk there.
Okay, so you're cashed up. It sounds like as a company, you are preparing for the possibility that the silver price might take a breather, might pause, might even retrace a bit, and that could cause pressure on available finances. What is your company's position on the future price of silver? Do you expect this bull market to keep cranking at the rate it's cranking, or do you think it's going to slow down a bit? Where do you see that happening?
There's a structural problem in the silver trade, and there's a really big industrial demand for it right now, given the solar industry, the tech industry, the EV industry. So it's going to continue for a while. Silver's going to trade higher, but at some point, all these things normalize.
Sure.
And you want to make sure you're in really good shape for when things normalize. You know, I'm a guy that wants to put the package together, advance the package, and sell it to somebody. And so I don't want to take that many risks. So whenever you can minimize some of your risks, you're better off. And if it costs me a little bit of that upside to reduce some risk for the shareholders, I'm going to do it. Because at the end of the day, I want to deliver another win for all the shareholders.
Beautiful. Okay, finally, let's talk a bit about Calico and the additional property that you recently announced, claims at Langtree, contiguous with the Calico project in San Bernardino, are they?
Yeah, it's just part of the Calico package. And so now we're exercising pieces of that option and buying out the claims.
Okay.
And then the third piece that's in that is the mule claims that we bought from Lithium Americas. And that's where the exploration upside still exists on the project. But Calico's a project that's going to go through economic study next. Yeah. You're going to see geotech drilling and more met work and then an economic study and some sort of permitting approach.
So all kinds of catalysts in 2026, starting right in the first quarter.
Yes.
Okay, Andy. We'll leave it there for now. Thanks very much for your time today. We'll have you back soon. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much, James. Appreciate it.